And you are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 New York Giants will be taking on the 0-16 Washington Commanders. And why the Washington Commanders 0-16? Because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody at all out there, anybody at all going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening? Thank you. It means so much to me. Greatly appreciate it. Or anybody spend any time at all watching any of the replay of this, once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. It means so much to me. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, as I usually do, try to shoot my mouth off. Anybody got anything to say? Please feel free. Just throw in a comment box or the chat box. I usually check on it every 5 or 10 minutes or so. Once I start rambling off, it's, I try to get back to it, and I check on the chat box every so often. So anybody got anything to say, just throw it in there, and I try to respond to it as soon as I can, as soon as I think about looking back at the chat box. But once I start going on a roll, sometimes it's, I do forget a little bit, but I always try to respond. But before I get started, anybody wants to help support my channel, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the top link, okay, it takes you to, like, I guess, my membership page, membership offers, I guess, maybe you want to call it. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon, the second one's called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third one is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them and all. And there's loyalty badges, which are pretty cool. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 8 different loyalty badges. Now, what it is that you get assigned a helmet, okay? And the older the helmet is for the Giants, in their history, that means the longer you've been a supporter to my channel. There's also, as of right now, there's 4 different emojis. Eventually, there will be a 5th emoji coming up. I had them made up on Fiverr. You can use them, I guess, in the chat box, in the or making a comment or something like that. They're pretty cool. Every time I look at them, I always get a huge kick out of them. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please go down below, click that the subscribe button, and hit the bell icon. That way, next time either I go live or I put out a video or whatever, you'll be notified. And it's free charge, okay? And then last but not least, also in the description box below, okay, there's especially for Facebook, okay, there's 3 different links for Facebook. The top one is for a group, okay. It's called, oddly enough, it's called the Gridiron, the New York Giants, the Gridiron, and it's a group. And right now we have over 1,900 members in there. And I said, every day I'm always posting stuff in there. 7 days a week. I try to put at least, I mention this in every video I do, at least 5 things or so every day in there, if not more. Most of the time it's more than that. And not only that, but the nice thing about with a group, okay, is that the members can post in there as well, too. It's just not for me. It's a group. Everybody can post in there. So not only is it me, okay, but it's the members are posting in there too, right? So there's all kinds of stuff going in there every day, all right? And then also, okay, underneath the link for the group, the Facebook group, I got 2 links to pages, okay? Now, the top link in there is for, once again, it's for a page. It's called, oddly enough, it's called the Gridiron. All right, the New York Giants, the Gridiron. But it's a page. This one, basically, pretty much, I'm the administrator. I'm the only pretty much posts in there. But it's the same thing. I post in there every day. I try to put like at least 4, 5, 6 different things in there every day. There's another link underneath it as well too to another page. It's called This Day in Giants Football History, which I will be getting more involved with in the future. Right now, between just with the season going on, there's a lot of stuff going on, but between the YouTube channel, the Facebook group and the Facebook page, the one page, I got a lot of stuff going on. But eventually New York Giants, this day in New York Giants history, the page. Okay, I will be getting more and more involved in that one. But I mean, you can certainly click on that link and like that one and follow it as well too. But the middle link, the one for the New York Giants, okay, the Gridiron, but the page, okay, the Facebook page. Right now, we just got up to 400 people liking it, and we have over 1,100 people following it. And this one, I'll tell you what, I get a lot of followers on this one. I'm not sure what the discrepancy is between the likes and the people following it. As I said, I just got up to 400 people liking the page, but there's over 1,100 people following it. So I mean, and I try to put a bunch of things in the page every day, and I don't try to commingle. So basically, whatever I put on the page does not go in the group, and likewise, what I mean. So it's just different stuff. So please, absolutely feel free. Click on the page, become like it, and follow it, and then go on the group and become a member of that too. All right. And as I said, fresh stuff every day, and as always, money back guarantee if you're not totally satisfied. But as I said, it's free of charge, and it's a great way to get a little daily dose of some extra Giants info. All right. But with all that said, I've got a little bit of Giants, the injuries, okay, injury kind of going on here. The Giants actually, now what I've been kind of waiting for this one. I mean, sooner or later for them to bring up Landon Collins from the practice squad, okay, which is good because he's going to have a little bit of vengeance on his mind, okay. Now the thing is why they didn't bring him up, I guess maybe the last time, is obviously they don't have a lot of cap space, okay, the Giants, and they brought Landon Collins up 2 times, all right, from the practice squad. So what winds up happening is that if they bring him up for a 3rd time, okay, now his salary has to go toward the salary cap, okay. And I mean, you're looking at the different salary. I mean, over the spot track and over the cap or whatever the different sites they got. You look at all of them; they all seem to have a different number as far as what the Giants have as far as salary cap space as of right now. But it's no more than like $2 or $3 million. Okay, but now since they elevated Landon Collins again for the 3rd time, okay, his salary is going to go toward the salary cap. So I mean, the Giants did not want to elevate him too soon, okay, because they only got a couple $1 million. Now they're not going to go out and sign anybody, right? The Odell Beckham Jr. saga is over with for at least now, all right? So now that there's only 4 games left, all right. So now they can bring him up. They still have a little bit of salary cap space. I'm sure they can bring a couple more guys up from the practice squad if need be for a 3rd time and have their salary go against the cap. But the Giants are also kind of hoping to get a few guys back too. I mean, if we're lucky, maybe if we're lucky, Adoree Jackson will come back somewhere along the line the last 3 games. Let's see. I'm going to go over Joshua Zudo, but maybe we might see a Shane Lemieux sighting. Who knows? But we're getting Ben Bredesen back, okay, which is huge. I said we got Adoree Jackson. Hopefully we'll see him. Maybe Xavier McKinney with his hand. Maybe we'll get him back. So hopefully we're kind of getting some guys back, okay? Now, of course, that doesn't mean that, we ain't going to get some more guys injured. But, hopefully, the guys, we're going to start getting some guys back to help fill out the roster, okay? So we won't have to be maybe bringing a lot of guys up from the practice squad, okay? Because, I mean, if we can get Adoree Jackson back at the cornerback position, that would be huge, right? The problem is it's his knee. I mean, you try to go out and cover a number 1 wide receiver from like almost any team, and you got a bad knee, yeah, good luck, okay? So, I mean, I guess when they're bringing him back, I mean, let's just hope that, he's good to go, all right? I said it's the same thing. If we can get Xavier McKinney back, that would be huge, right? I mean, especially in the 2 of them in the secondary. You obviously got one in the cornerback position, obviously, and then you got Xavier McKinney, kind of sideline to sideline back, in the deep safety position, So I mean, that would be fantastic. Then because some of it we've been getting a little bit, some of the times getting a little picked on. I mean, like last week, I know the Eagles they were picking on some of our cornerbacks, because they just the quality of depth we have out there. It's kind of tough when you lose a bunch of guys, and then they just go out and then they just start picking on, they look for the weakest link, and that's who they go after. And you can go after the weakest link when you got good quality, healthy wide receivers, which the Eagles did. Okay. And, same thing with the Commanders have some very good wide receivers. The Eagles, the Eagles' top two are really, really good. But, the Commanders have some very good wide receivers as well, too. But, so if we can start getting some of these guys back, and maybe we'll have to wait and see with Leonard Williams, right? But, if in the final 3 or 4 games we can get him back, if he can be somewhat healthy, that would be huge as well, too. Because, for this playoff push, okay, if we can get our front four, would be fantastic. We can get Adoree Jackson back, that would be huge. If we can get Julian Love, back there with Xavier McKinney in the safeties position, that would be fantastic. That would really, really help us out. I said, and now we've elevated Landon Collins, okay, so possibly, he might be in there maybe to help out against the run. Okay, he's going to be a little bit of a liability in coverage, but he can certainly cover some guy. He's not going to be able to cover the number one wide receiver of the other team, but, he can certainly cover. All right. Maybe he's not the best coverage safety out there, but he can certainly play in the box and help against the run, which has been just, oh my God, the Giants. What was it? 200? What did they give up? 253 yards rushing to the Eagles. The Eagles had over 8 yards a carry. Given, the Eagles have got a really good offensive line, but 253 yards, 8 yards a carry. And come on. But that just goes to show you, like, in the inside linebacker position is something that the Giants are going to need to address. Right. Whether it's in, obviously, I'm sure in the draft, they're going to try to maybe get somebody, or maybe pick somebody up in free agency as well. Who knows? But it'd be interesting because, the Giants, obviously got a couple of positions, of need. Be interesting to see with the first couple rounds where they try to go. Now, you don't necessarily need to get a wide receiver in the first round. There's good quality wide receivers in rounds 2 and back. But if the Giants want to try to get maybe a good number 1 wide receiver, you can, obviously, as I said, there's going to be a lot of wide receivers. You can get a wide receiver in any round. But, tough to find a number 1 wide receiver in round, like, say, number 6. Okay, not saying that there haven't been wide receivers drafted in round 6 throughout history that haven't turned into, like, maybe a number 1 wide receiver. But, for the most part, if you're gonna want somebody who's explosive, especially, if you're looking for that number 1, all right, which the Giants don't have, okay. I said, if we can get Sterling Shepard back, okay, we got Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Bellinger, okay. I don't know if we're going to keep Saquon or not. I don't know if we're going to keep Slayton, or if we're going to let him go, right? Because he's not part of the team either, next year. So, he might test free agency and he might go elsewhere. But, and it wouldn't be bad if the Giants double dipped, obviously, in wide receiver position. So, if they, and say in the first round, some of these mock drafts are out already. They got a couple of them. They have the Giants taking a wide receiver with, like, the number, I think we're picking like number 23 or whatever it was. But, taking a wide receiver, okay, which would be huge. Okay. And I said, don't be surprised that the Giants don't maybe double dip for wide receiver, maybe in round 1. And then maybe, obviously, we got possibly have 11 picks. So 1 in round 1, or maybe round 2, where we got Wan'Dale Robinson. Okay. Cause you're going to get some quality wide receivers in round 2 as well. Without question. And said, then pick another one later on. Right. And obviously the guys we're going to bring in, the guys are going to be like Kafka and Dable. They think that they can work with, right? And hopefully they bring in guys who don't have injury histories. All right. But also, with the inside linebacker position, look for the Giants. They got to do something with that. They got to do something with that. You got to, to help shut down the run. I mean, like, basically last week, when you're going up against a real good team like the Eagles, it was, you got to take something away, okay? And the Giants, against the Eagles, took away nothing, absolutely nothing. I mean, the Eagles obviously didn't get a whole. I mean, they didn't need to get a. I had the stats up here somewhere. Oh, here we go. All right, cool. I found them. The Eagles only had 100. Well, actually, they had a little over 200 yards passing. I'm sorry, after the sacks got taken away, dropped down 184. But I mean, they could have beaten the Giants with anything. It didn't matter. They could have killed them with the pass or the run. But once they're up so much, you don't need the pass. I mean, you got the run. You run. And obviously, what it was with the Eagles was the run was setting up the pass. But the Giants couldn't stop it either, right? And you have to take something away. Okay, you have to be, one of the meetings at the beginning of the season in training camp and all, Wink, they had a video going with Wink Martindale. Okay, when he was talking to the defense, he said, "We're going to take the run away. Okay, it's a passing league. You can't give them both, so we're going to take some away. We got to take the run. We're going to take the run away, and it's not been happening. Okay, but Wink was saying in the meeting we have to take something away, and which is true. You have to take something away. You just can't let them, pick and choose what they're going to do. I mean, you have to take something away from them. Okay. You can take the run away, all right, which I said, once again, the Giants have not. And then, when they do drop back the pass, you can put some pressure on the quarterback, which we can with a healthy Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, right, Oshane Ximines, and Kayvon, right? We got those 4 guys in there. We can get some pressure with just 4. Drop 7 guys in coverage, right? And hopefully, do a decent job of, covering in pass protection. But you got to really need to take something away. And the Giants basically have not taken anything away. I mean, let's also look at the Commanders. Basically, that was almost flipped back and forth, okay, what the Eagles did and what the Commanders did. The Commanders had 200, after taking sack yards away, okay, the Commanders had 246 yards passing, right? The Eagles had 253 yards rushing, okay? The Eagles, after you take the sack yards away, okay, Jalen Hurts had 184 yards passing. And the Commanders had 165 yards rushing. All right. Very, very balanced. Then you go the week. After that, it was just the week before that. Against the Cowboys. We've given up 400 yards in offense 3 weeks in a row, over 400 yards against the Cowboys. The Cowboys had 261 yards passing, 169 yards rushing. It was like they did whatever they wanted to do, right? We only gave up 7 points at the halftime, but after that, right? 430 yards, that's 261 yards passing, 169 yards rushing. Then the week before that, okay, against the, this is balance as you're going to get, the Detroit Lions, right? 165 yards passing. We held them pretty good as far as passing, but we gave up 160 yards rushing. And then, of course, the 3 turnovers we had were killers, right? Absolute killers. But, I said you look against the Baltimore Ravens. We gave up 195 yards passing. And there was some of the sack yard was taken out of there too, okay? But they had 211 yards rushing. 211 yards rushing. Against the Cowboys, the first time we played the Cowboys, 215 yards passing we gave up. 176 yards rushing. It was just like they did whatever they want. What's nice is, what you would like to see is like what the Commanders have been doing. Okay, they obviously, because they got that their front 4 is really, really good, and possibly Chase Young might be playing this week. He may not. We'll have to wait and see. If he does play, he'll be on a pitch count. Okay, there's no way they're not bringing him back. Okay, and it's like, all right, Chase, we'll see you at the end of the game, brother. go play 60, 70 snaps. Go get. No, he's not going to. If he's playing, it'll be maybe 10, 20 snaps. They're going to work his way back in. Because you also kind of notice him, all right, is that the way things are just panning out. I mean, after the Vikings came back today, down 33-0, the greatest comeback of all time in NFL history. They were down 33-0, and they came back and won 39-36 in overtime. So they outscored the Colts 39-3, basically, like pretty much the second half in an overtime. Okay, but so the Vikings now, okay, they still only got 3 losses. You got the 49ers, they got their 4, all right, losses. But what you kind of noticing is that with the Seahawks, all right, I mean, they got 7 losses, okay. They got to play the Chiefs, they got to play the Jets, and they got to play the Rams. They can easily get 2 more losses there, easily. All right, because they lost to the Panthers at home, and then they lost to the 49ers at home. Now they got to play the Chiefs next week on December, Christmas Eve, and that could give them their 8th loss, right? The Giants only have 5. You know what I mean? So I mean, if the Giants could somehow win like one more game, right? You know, one more game. I mean, that would really, really help them out immensely. I'm saying, but then you also look at the other team. You know, it would be like it's like the Lions. The Lions are 6-7. The Lions got to play 3 of their final 4 on the road. They got to play at the Jets, at Carolina, at Green Bay, and then they got to play the Bears at home. So the Lions could certainly lose it. But I mean, the Lions have won 5 of their last 6, right? But I mean, they could certainly lose a couple games there too, and basically have like 9 losses, and they'll be out of the playoffs. So you kind of look in here is that kind of the way the Giants are playing, they're almost going to kind of maybe back themselves into the playoffs by default, because everybody else, you know, the other couple teams in contention are just lose their way out of contention, right? So the Giants, because they're 7-2, started 7-2, right, just might wind up backing their way into the playoffs, which is not the way you really want to do it. Obviously, you want to go on in a head of steam, right? You know, winning a couple games. You don't want to start 7-2 and lose your last 13 ball games of the season just to make the playoffs, and then all of a sudden you're just going to turn it on and go win a Super Bowl. I mean, let's be real, the Giants are not going to win a Super Bowl, but I mean, to go into the playoffs, right? You want to have a little head of steam going on, okay? And the Giants do not have that, all right? But you really like to see them win this game, which will give them the head-to-head. I mean, if they could win this game, the way I said, with Seattle's record, the Lions' record, and if they could win this game and have the head-to-head against the Commanders, the Giants, I mean, I don't want to say almost a sure shoe-in in the playoffs, but I mean, their percentage is going to go way, way up. Like I said, but to go into the playoffs, you don't want to wind up losing, like as I was saying, like 6 of your last 7 games, and you wind up just making the playoffs and get lucky, you know, right? Although, as I said, I mean, it would certainly be great for them to make the playoffs. It just confidence, all right? I said, and then with next year with a healthier salary cap, another 11 draft picks. And now I'm going to go over the injury report. Okay. I mean, you know, and we're going to be getting so many guys back from our injuries from this year. All right. With the next injury report, I'm going to go over in a minute because they put a Zudu on injury on and season-ending injury reserve. Right. Basically, almost half of our draft class from this year is on season-ending injury reserve. We got 5 guys. I think we had 11 picks. Almost half of them on the IR. They're out for the season. You got McKeithen. You got Azudu, right? I mean, McKeithen, I mean, he's been out for a long time. Then, of course, you got Davidson, right? You got Wan'Dale Robinson. And let's not forget Darian Beavers. I mean, he was, you know, looking somewhat decent, you know, in training camp and all, but right, his season's been over with. So basically, I mean, so it'd be great to get these guys back, hopefully healthy, right? I said we got a draft class from this year. We got another 11 guys next year. We're going to have a nice little healthy salary cap. Maybe we can bring in, maybe a little somebody, right? I don't know if we're going to be going hog wild crazy. I said because we got to try to sign Julian Love. Maybe we're going to re-sign Saquon. Sterling Shepard, right? I don't know if we're going to let Darius Slayton go or not, but I mean, we're probably going to have to want to dish out money, probably bring back Daniel Jones, right? Maybe we can restructure Leonard Williams' contract so he's not getting a $32 million cap hit next year, right? And bring that cap way down. We're going to let Kenny Golladay go after June 1st, save us like over $13 million. So I mean, the Giants can have a nice chunk of change, but we got some of these guys on the roster that are going to be free agents that we got to bring back in. We have to sign. So I said maybe I would be interesting to see. I mean, Shane could not go hog wild this year with salary cap. I mean, he couldn't go out and buy that a guard, right? We brought in Glowinski, I think it was like 3 years, $18 million, like about $6 million a year. I think we can get out after 2 years, right? But I mean, so we brought in Glowinski on relatively on a cheaper $6 million. We couldn't go out and get a 15 or 16 or $17 million guard, right? Because of the salary cap situation. So be interesting to see what Shane decides to do in the offseason. Does he prioritize maybe, maybe, getting a linebacker, inside linebacker, right? I mean, maybe it'd be interesting to see, if we dish out a little bit of money and get somebody a little special in here. Or does he just try to, if he takes like, say, $15 million in salary cap space, does he try to bring in 3 guys at about $5 million a year? Or does he try to dish it out all in one guy and bring in somebody special for maybe about $15 million a year? So be interesting to see. But, we have another 4 picks, I believe, it'll be close to the top 100. 4 picks in the top 100 once again we'll have. So if we can hit on those 4 picks, that would be huge. We get our team, our players back that are from the IR, right? And a little bit of healthy salary cap. Hopefully we can, right? Hopefully we can, start turning things around. But the Giants, all right. The Giants have elevated safety / inside linebacker Landon Collins ahead of the big Sunday night game against the Commanders. Collins played for the Commanders after signing with them as an unrestricted free agent in 2019, following a 4-year career with the Giants. Collins' elevation likely means that Tay Crowder, who came in from rookie Micah McFadden last week, will be a healthy scratch. So this is not written in stone. Okay, we'll find out tomorrow with who the scratches are. McFadden on this week's injury report with a neck and ankle injuries did not receive an injury designation for this weekend's game and should be good to go. So Collins, meanwhile, can help with the run defense, which has been leaky. Leaky? Yeah. That's being very kind. So look for Collins maybe be somebody in the box, right, when he's on the field. Now, I don't know how much he's going to want to play in. It'd be maybe 20 snaps. We'll have to want to wait and see. But when Collins is on the field, look for him to be in that box quite a bit. So he can either help out against the run, right? Or if somebody, whatever, maybe try to cover a linebacker, cover a tight end, or maybe cover a running back. Have to wait and see. But, look for Collins to be on the field. The Giants have also, this is interesting, elevated quarterback Davis Webb from the practice squad. So apparently we're going to have Webb. I don't know why, but Tyrod Taylor and Daniel Jones. So we're going to have 3 quarterbacks, right? Webb was last activated on October 8th after questions about Daniel Jones' availability following the ankle sprain and backup Tyrod Taylor having a concussion, right? Jones and backup Tyrod Taylor were not on the injury report this week, so the move to elevate Webb over a punt returner receiver probably doesn't mean anything. So I don't know why. But it's also another one of those things is maybe, as I say, like with Shane, does not want to keep elevating some of these guys where we wind up putting ourselves in a position where we elevate them for the 3rd time. Because when you elevate somebody for the 3rd time off the practice squad, their money goes toward the salary cap, right? And we've elevated Davis Webb one time right? If we elevate him the second, the second time still does not take a hit toward the salary cap, right? If we had to bring him up a third time, it would, right? So that's why kind of Shane's kind of like they're elevating different guys, right? They're only bringing guys up maybe one or two times. That way they can stay on the practice squad and their money doesn't go toward the salary cap. Because now, I mean, after we bring Landon Collins up and his salary goes toward the cap, we're only going to have like maybe about $1.5 million, maybe $2 million at the most or so left in salary cap space, right? So that's not a heck of a lot, right? In other roster moves, the Giants activated Ben Bredeson from the injury reserve. Bredeson injured his knee in week 7 over the Jaguars. I remember, I mean, he injured his knee, and Bellinger got his eye socket smashed, right? So, I mean, way back in week 7. He's been on the IR ever since. But with today being the final day of his 21-day window, so once they get him off, they get like a 3-week window, right? So that means they take him off the IR, and they got 3 weeks. And after 21 days, it's either yay or nay. Either yeah, we're putting him on the 53-man roster, or no, we're shutting him down for the rest of the season, and his season's over with. So apparently, thankfully, okay, he's off the IR, and apparently it looks like he's ready to return to active duty. Although he's probably, what they were saying here, is not expected to start at left guard this week. So maybe he'll be on a pitch count. Maybe he'll get some snaps in there. That would be freaking huge. If he can at least get 10 or 20 snaps. His problem has been in the past has been like pass protection. He's had some problem with that. Okay. He's been decent in the run game. Okay. Which is something that we've really been just, I mean, it's horrible. I mean, Saquon, you don't know if it's his neck, his shoulders still bother him. Is he wearing down so far over the long season? I mean, this is another thing you remember too. I mean, that guys are playing like 17 games. I mean, it's like a long season, But I mean, Bredeson is very good as far as run blocking. So his presence, if he does, play any snaps at all tomorrow night, that would be huge. Be very interesting to see how he plays in the run game, right? And then they got to make room for Lemieux on the roster. The Giants placed offensive lineman Joshua Zuda with his neck on season-ending injury reserve. He's been sidelined since week 11 with a neck ailment. So, I mean, hopefully, a broken bone or this is one thing, a neck. So hopefully it's not, something long-term, but I mean, he's been out since week 11 and his season's over with. So hopefully he'll be able to come back next year. Now, the problem, I mean, like with the thing is like with the Zudu and McKeithen is that, they're not, I mean, what do you want to call them? Just elite talent. All right. They're good, possibly maybe decent backups who maybe possibly, I mean, with a Zudu, maybe, he can work his way into the starting lineup, maybe somewhere down along the line. But, he has to work at his craft. But the thing is, and also to get better, you have to be available and you have to get some snaps in there, And unfortunately, McKeithen hasn't sniffed the field as far as I remember. And then you also have, I said, with the Zudu, I mean, basically, I don't even want to say this season's been a lost season, but I mean, basically he's missing since week 11, right? So, I mean, weeks 11 to 18 is, basically, so the first 10 weeks of the season, he got in there a little bit, but I mean, he's just missing a lot of time. I mean, missing a lot of time, him and McKeithen, especially as far as maybe working on their craft and maybe getting some experience and all. Right, which will give us some good quality depth, which the Giants certainly could use, especially on the offensive line. But with due to the injuries, right? All right. So I mean, the Giants have to. They've only have 4 interceptions all year. 4. I mean, I know things times have changed, and back in the day when I used to, when I've grown up, I mean, some teams would have like 25, 30, 35 interceptions on their team. I mean, just the game was a little bit different back then. I mean, the pass completion percentage wasn't as high as it is now. There's a lot more interceptions thrown and all, but this would be a really, really good game to get, especially if we get some pressure on Heinicke. All right. Maybe get a strip sack with a fumble, right? Recover the ball. Maybe get some pressure on him. Them throw a fast, an interception or two would be huge. Maybe, when he's getting ready to pass, get your hands up there. Maybe we can tip a ball, get it up in the air, maybe come down with an interception or something like that. An interception or a turnover or two would be huge for the Giants in this game. The Commanders will be rested, which is good and bad. I mean, because sometimes you take too much time off, you get a little rusty, right? So, the Commanders did not play last week. The last time they played was against the Giants. The Giants have been playing, right? I mean, I would believe that this should be a decent game, relatively close. I would believe like what the last one was. Whoever winds up winning, I could see being within like a score, 8 points either way, something along those lines. I think whoever makes the most mistakes, obviously, is going to be the loser. I mean, like I said, Daniel Jones has like a fumble, sack fumble, or he throws a couple interceptions or something like that. That might be the kiss of death for the Giants. I'm saying, likewise, if the Giants can keep a clean, keep the penalties down, play a clean game where they're willing to have any turnovers, and maybe they can get a couple, that would be huge for the Giants. Don't look for the Giants to, I mean, if the Giants somehow put up like 30, 31 points, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be like a punt return for a touchdown. It's going to be a pick six or something. Don't look for the Giants to just keep walking up and down the field, 450 yards of offense, and we put up 34 points. Look for the Giants to try to keep it close. All right. They can't beat themselves. If they wind up losing tomorrow night, they have to, it has to be the Washington Commanders that beat them, right? The Giants cannot beat themselves, plain and simple. Look for it to be a decent game. The Giants are going to have to somehow try to find that running game. Yeah, they don't have the firepower to start, trying to walk up and down the field in a shootout. Okay. They can't get down by like 3 scores or so. They could be in a lot of trouble, especially with that good defensive front that the Commanders have. All right. Like I said, but look for it to be a good game. I think the Giants are kind of more a sense of urgency because they've been reeling. Okay. The Commanders have been doing well. They're rested, but they could be rusty. Okay. But I said, look for the Giants to come, I think, be a little more pissed off than the Commanders are. I think the Giants are maybe a little sick and tired of it. I tell you, I'm going to make a prediction here. Look for the Giants to win 23-20. I said, it ain't going to be pretty. All right. Somehow, I don't know how the hell they're going to get 23 points, right? Maybe, maybe 2 touchdowns, right? And maybe 3 Graham Gano field goals. But look for the Giants to come out on top of this one. I think look for them to put the flag in the ground and say, it stops right here. Okay. We're going to win one. Okay. We just got blown out. We just got bitch slapped by the Eagles. A very good team, without question. But look for the Giants. I feel good about this one. Look for the Giants to come out on top of this one, 23-20. And if they can, right, they'll be 8-5-1. The Commanders would be 7-6-1, and the Giants would have the head-to-head on them, right? And they'd have a game advantage of them too. So, I mean, basically that means the Commanders would have to win like the last 3 games, and the Giants would have to go like 0-3 or whatever. I mean, so if whoever wins tomorrow night has I think I read it was like 85 or 90% chance of making the playoffs. So whoever it is, you almost pencil them into the playoffs. And I'll tell you what, whoever is the last seed, okay, has to play the Vikings. Right? Now, the thing is, you got to look at is you got the Cowboys are pretty much going to wind up playing, looks like the Buccaneers, right? Unless the Cowboys somehow beat the Eagles and win a division. But whoever the number one wild card team is, looks like they're going to be playing the Buccaneers, possibly. So that leaves whoever the worst wild card team is as of right now, right? Whoever the worst wild card team has got to play the Vikings. The second second best or second worst, whatever you want to call a wild card team, as of right now, is going to be playing the 49ers. And I'll tell you what, the way the 49ers are playing and their defense, you go on the road and play in San Fran, that could be a tough game. The Vikings, they've been giving up some points. They gave up, 36 points today. They got a good offense and all and everything, but, that's a game the Giants can certainly win. The following week, too. Especially if we can somehow get like Adoree Jackson back, because they got really good wide receivers. The Giants can certainly use that too. But if we can get maybe McKinney back somehow, right? And then we're going to play the Colts. And then the last game of the season is going to be against the Eagles. And it all depends upon whether the Eagles need that game or not. Okay. But as I said, let's go back to the Commander game here. I think the Giants, have had enough. I think they were embarrassed by the Eagles last week, which in one way could be a good thing, right? Wakes them up, right? It shows you what can happen if you don't play at your top of your game, right? So look for the Giants. A very tough game. It's going to be ugly, right? Right. I think the Giants come out on top 23-20, and they push their record to 8-5-1. Sounds good. All right. And I'm probably going to go live. I'm going to try to go live maybe tomorrow, maybe in the second half of the football game. Playing the Commanders. So look for me to go live tomorrow night, whatever time. The game starts at 8:30. So maybe like 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'll be going live. I'll try to be there live while watching the second half of the game between the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. And guys, it's been 41 minutes. Anybody spend any time at all watching this, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Or anybody spends any time watching a replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys absolutely rock. And as always, guys, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.